number one porno cartoon in the world. And I said, something is not great. Bear Stearns' broker tells it all. My venture portfolio is like my love stories. 9 failures and one that is going to change the world. I still believe. Well, I'm here today to talk about venture investments, my experience, the do's and the no's, the projects that I've invested, that I made a lot of money in, that I failed in. So just want to give a little bit of a background. I think venture investments existed since the start of times. I mean, people invested in caravan of donkeys or horses, and they would carry products to some form of destination. People invested in ships that actually went around the world to try to find the new worlds, and that was venture investments, because you really did not know what at the end is going to be the outcome. There were goals, there were teams, and so basically you invested in teams and a dream. So like Christopher Columbus, King invested in him exploring new worlds, finding gold, finding new minerals, and so on. So that was venture investments, right? I think that the most important part of venture investments that people oversee is doing their due diligence, not just on the hype idea that they love, but basically on the people that are going to execute that idea. So you have a guy or a girl that comes to you and says, listen, and I have this great idea. I'm working on it. I'm putting together an application or some deep research that already have shown some positive results. I understand the market. I understand where and how I'm planning to sell. I understand who's going to create the product. I understand the funding that is necessary to complete the project. So, and then, okay, what a great idea. What a nice guy or a girl. Why don't I give them a little bit of money? Maybe there's something that will make me, a millionaire. So people invest in venture because they expect a very high rate of returns. Well, what does that mean, very high rate of return? I think that the average is people looking for 10x on their investments when they're investing in venture. Could it be less? Great. So when the expectations are to make 10 times your money, people oversee things that are important. And these things are most important when making venture investments is who you are investing into. Who is that guy or a girl? What is their background? Why it's them? Okay, maybe it's one or several people. Who is going to be the team? Why this team is going to be able to deliver? Do they have enough people on the team to deliver at least initial results? What is their, again, background? Has there been a criminal record? Has there other things that these people are involved? How much are they focused on what they are proposing to you? Maybe this is one of the 10 projects that people are bringing to, that they're getting involved in. This is really important. People underscore the importance of doing their due diligence on the team. The second, people definitely underscore the type of people that they need in order to execute their business on their projects. And I actually have someone that came to me, I think it was a great concept for a fund. And this person is, very much in the face, a great salesperson, and they are able to attract money into this fund. But then I asked the question, and where's the team? Well, I'm working on the team right now. The team will be put together shortly. I said, but we're investing in people, right? It's not just you, it's the team that I am investing in to show me who these people are, show me their background, show me that they're able to analyze the projects that the fund will be investing into. What is their commitment to this project? So they're, give you analysis now, and then there's no one responsible for the actual deliverance, who will oversee the steps of the project. So again, encourage the investors, young investors, old investors. People make mistakes, and the biggest mistake is not doing enough due diligence on the fund. Second, as I just mentioned, is the budget. Budget is really important. If for the person that is bringing the project to you, unless they delivered or they have created successful projects in the past, maybe not particularly in this industry or in this direction, they do not have an idea how much funding is necessary to actually execute, to bring this project to be profitable, to actually deliver, maybe not 10x, but to deliver at least some results, some revenues. Okay. Sometimes one thing they all underscore is marketing budgets. So must look at the marketing budget. How much does it take to take this project to the next level? By importance to the team and the budget, not even the product itself. Yes, must do the homework. But if they have something original, if this is something that is not delivered yet, or maybe they're bringing a copycat to existing market, let's say markets of Indonesia, there's so many things that are under invested into, and so many opportunities that became the growing markets. The markets like markets of Indonesia are going to deliver those Googles, those future multi-billion-dollar companies, because you have 300 million population that needs everything. The next is diversification. So if you're really looking to start some venture portfolio, unless you have invested capital that you can say, okay, I can take a crack of $100,000 or more, you most probably should not be doing venture investments. The next, and probably one of the most important things, whether it's venture or it's investing in anything, investing in real estate, investing in art, investing in other, any type of investment, is diversification. Again, unless you have 15 different types of investments in your portfolio, you must understand that you're not diversified. In 2024, 90% of all venture investments have failed. 90%. So if you want to take a number and say, okay, I have a portfolio of 15 companies and 90% of them will fail, then again, okay, so you still own several companies that will not fail, right? I think I've said in the beginning, homework, do not listen to anybody. Do your homework. You listened, okay, thank you, write it down. I'm going to go do my homework. I'm going to try to find people in the industry and get their feedback. Well, I'm going to ask ChatGPT and get ChatGPT feedback. Yeah, ChatGPT wants to please you, so you need to be actually very involved in the way you structure the question, and B, once you get an answer, that you give ChatGPT correct feedback. So you need to direct ChatGPT not once, but maybe 3, 4, or 5 times before you get that clear answer. I've done this many, many years. So my first investments in venture were in the early 90s. I invested in companies involved in biotech, in World Wide Web, in internet, when actually there was no World Wide Web. Probably I should tell a great story. So I was an investor in a company called Bullseye Art. So you can actually go on the internet and see Bullseye Art. Bullseye Art used a new technology to do cartoons on internet. So they are not producing cartoons and putting them, they actually formed the cartoons on internet. And they, at one point, they had #1 porno cartoon in the world. I think this was 1999. A largest software company made an offer to buy us out. They were about to go public, and the value was based on their shares. They would not pay us in cash. They would give us the shares of the company that would go IPO literally in 2000. So we were valued about $300 million, 25% stake in the company. And I will never forget meeting the guy, the CEO of the company in New York in Soho, who invited us to his loft. There was a humongous single floor loft in the old industrial building. good looking, well dressed young guy. Two black dogs, huge dogs, greeted us at the door. And I said, something is not great. And literally in the week, I find out, well, Goldman Sachs was supposed to take them public. And he was able to borrow against the future IPO. It's called to do a collar. So he basically locked a collar around his shares, and he borrowed $25 million from Goldman Sachs to do whatever he was doing, obviously to buy this loft. I would say that probably about, even that year, it was maybe about $10-12 million. 2000 comes crash of tech stocks. The company never goes public. Their stock goes to zero, and our investment never realized. Actually, a few years later, I left for Russia to lead an investment group for Banca Intesa. And the CEO of Bullseye Art, he was nominated for his cartoon work, but the company never realized what was wrong. I mean, I think that probably one of the biggest reasons is that we waited for this deal to realize and underscored fundraising that was necessary during the process. So even though we had an offer on this site, we could have easily raised millions of dollars for the development because we had an offer for $300 million already on the table. The company was valued at $300 million. And we did not go out fundraising. And I was really busy with my stuff, and we were in the middle of selling our investment group. I actually tried to get in touch with the guy, and he never. This was years later. Just to understand, I know he lives somewhere in Utah. The CEO, incredibly talented guy, Josh Berliner. So, Josh, if you ever see this video, hopefully say hello. And they mentioned the story about the fund. One of the people that turned to me regarding my participation in the fund. I have a success story in the fund. It's actually another potentially great story. I was heading sales in my group, and one day, the president of the company comes in and he said, "Mark, there's this guy in the reception. You gotta go meet this guy. The guy is very strange." I said, "Okay." So I come outside. Okay, and this is 90s Wall Street, very conservative. I had this beautiful reception, these couches, and I come out, and this guy in shiny green leisure suit Larry with a black leather tie, prongs in his ears, but really good looking guy. And I said, "Yeah, I guess I'd come, let's talk." So he became a really nice guy, very bright, comes from a really good family background. We finished the meeting, and I said, "Listen, do me a favor. I'll give you money. Go buy a suit, change your tie, take the prongs out of your ears, and I will give you a job." He came back the next day, nicely dressed, very, very well. And the guy in his first year became $1 million producer. He gets a job at Bear Stearns. So many brokers traveled from firm to firm, receiving like nice bonuses to join another firm. So he joins Bear Stearns. And one day he goes to a bar downstairs of the building, has a drink. This guy liked to drink. And some guy sits next to him. "You work here?" "Yeah, I work in the building. I'm a broker at Bear Stearns." And I say, "Oh, yeah, yeah." So they're drinking. They say, "Well, what do you think of Bear Stearns?" So the next morning, first page of Wall Street Journal, Bear Stearns broker tells it all. And so the guy gets fired, of course, goes out to search and himself. So about a few years later, he creates an investment fund. Today, Lee Munson is managing, I think, $2 billion in clients' investments in an investment fund. And he often is a visitor on CNBC, on various world financial markets, very, very respected person. So really from nowhere, after being fired, laid off, he turned around and created an incredible career for himself. Well, first of all, also, one of the ways to invest in venture is to invest in existing portfolios. So there are venture funds that are rated, they're showing their performance. They actually must show their performance and they get rated. This is a licensed entity. And so you can actually go on the internet and see what are the top performing venture funds. And investing in venture fund actually gives you the diversification, because usually they do invest in more than 15 companies in a portfolio over at least some period of time. But you also can see past performance of these people. These are professionals. My probably suggestion to a new investor, if you want to invest in venture, and there are venture funds that accept investments of $10,000, right? Usually, really good one starts with limits somewhere about $250,000 plus. But there are funds, they're publicly traded investment funds, venture funds that you can invest into. If you are to invest in an individual project, well, I think that's very important is chemistry, right? So it's important that, first of all, you understand people, you understand what they're talking about. So that's probably in part doing your homework, but also you have to try to see through people. Like I have over the years, I was able to sort of create this ability to see through people, to see, how maybe honest they are, or how sincere they are, how they are dedicated to this project. This is something that I turned down probably 90% of the investments. But it's important, this chemistry. Like my chemistry with art. I don't buy big names. I don't buy famous painters or sculptors. Usually like to buy young, and it takes really a lot of time to find something that I like, right? Maybe I have a good eye. Yes, I think it's important chemistry between you and whatever investments you make. Even the time has changed and market trends have shifted from basics of energy investments, investments in IT, investments in biotechnology. They are, of course, taken to a new level. Basics of investments have not changed. Whatever I mentioned before regarding what to do and not to do, I apply, and I think will apply over the lifetime, at least our lifetime, until generative AI will come out with its own trends, with its own sort of decision making. In a way, it's a little bit scary. So myself, I maybe not the most technologically inclined person. I clearly understand the risks of current situation in the development of artificial intelligence. I think that more controls that are put up between the technology and people who are creating it is very, very important. We definitely do not want to give an ability to AI to rule the world. And that opportunity does exist. And what the outcome can be, not necessarily good for the humanity. But at the same time, there are many other trends like wellness that have become a significant part, not of just investments that are being poured into that direction, but our lives and changing our lives. Thank God this technology is changing our lives for the better. AI, of course, is amazing. I use it and it's changing the world, it's changing the industries, and whoever will not apply this to their business, to the strategy of the future development of their businesses. I would say 100% of the existing businesses just across the board is going to fail. So it is very important the company has some strategy for AI, and most of them do now if they are very forward looking. I believe that it is important at all the ages. As a matter of fact, in November, I'm going to take classes at Wharton regarding the future of AI and impact of digitalization and AI on business. And even though I have been an investor and I am an investor in AI technologies, I think that my experience is not well covered. The energy sector, I think, is going through significant changes. Many countries investing in impact technologies, investing in green technologies, changing their approach to echo. People understand the risk. The risk of global warming, I think it's very much overrated. but yet it is important to approach the new technologies in ecology and in green technologies. And there's a huge opportunity to invest exists there as well. So my experience in venture investment lays over, I don't know, now 35 years. And even though people say, you know what, we are investing because this is the future, because I want to have an impact on society, I want to change the society, this technology is changing lives. It's all great, but at the end of it, you need to think about investing is about money, and investing is about risks that you take. Yeah, there may be calculated risk, there may be risks, or they may be investing because this is something that will change the world, but still, that you're spending your hard-earned money on somebody else's idea. So I will probably end with saying venture investing is great. Be careful, do your homework, smile.